Aloha gang, Dr.Russ Rosen here. Welcome to the OHC Facebook community. And today we're going to be talking about bonuses. So as always, I got to go ahead and check and make sure it's actually working because sometimes it doesn't. Let's see if we're actually going live. Yep, good, it's working. Okay, so down. Okay, so Dr. Russ Rosen, helping people thrive in a care versus scare, true optimal health model. We're here 3 Tuesdays a month at 1:30 Pacific time, California time. If you want more detail where we go into Zoom and have an hour discussion on each one of these topics, just put club below and I'll go ahead and give you a free month in the club. Okay, so we're going to talk about bonuses. And look, many of us recognize that having bonuses for our staff sounds like a good idea. Many of us just have either had horrible experiences doing this, it leads to disincentivizing. We're not hitting the bonuses and now they're disincentivized, all kinds of different problems. Many of us don't feel like we should have to bonus our staff. After all, I'm paying them. Why do I have to bonus them? And many of us have just tried different things that haven't worked. So let's go ahead and dive into bonuses. So are there any good reasons to use bonuses? Sure. Done correctly, it can motivate your staff and it can boost productivity. Done correctly. Done the wrong way, it will lead to the exact opposite of that. And I know many of us have experienced that. Again, done the right way, it can increase enhanced employee retention. We discussed last week about a mishire can cost us 3 times their yearly salary or how much they get paid for a year if you go by the hour. So we really don't want to mishire. If they're good, we want them to be able to stay. And again, bonuses can really help in that regard. It can really help us in the alignment of our practice goals. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the business frame. So mission, vision, purpose, how do we market, blah, 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 all the way down to goals and how do we set goals. Bonuses can really help out in aligning those goals. So really good thing to do. Again, if we set up the kind that work. Done the right way, it can lead to a positive work environment and help with team morale. Again, done the wrong way, it can cause the exact opposite. One of the things I love about it is it recognizes and rewards their effort. So in essence, a key concept that people talk about is reward the behaviors you want. And this can reward the behaviors you want. All people respond well to, reward the behaviors you want. Okay, it can help drive personal growth, skill development, and exceptional patient care. If we really want a legendary practice, our patients need to have a great experience. They'll put up with nonsense while they're in pain, but after that, if they're having a difficult time, any aspect of the practice, they're not going to stick around. It can increase patient satisfaction. So, better staff doing a better job leads to patients who stay, pay, and refer for a lifetime. It can provide flexibility in the compensation. So bonuses offer you a flexible way, allowing you to reward their excellent behavior without committing to long-term increase in salary or long-term increase in hours, dollars per hour. And they can be really beneficial, especially for smaller practices, smaller businesses. So what I want to have it set up as is they realize if they're going to get a temporal bonus increase, a temporal increase, meaning I've been here a year, so I get 25 cents more or 50 cents more. I want them to see that if they get set up on this bonus schedule and we grow the practice, they'll make way more per hour or way more in their salary than they ever would have made if they were just got a certain amount and then every year got a little bit more. But the trick to that is you got to be able to grow the practice. So really important piece of that puzzle. And again, it can really help you attract top talent. You know, if you really want to grow this thing and have a legendary practice, you want top talent, but we're not going to get them if we're not paying them well enough. To be very clear, just because you are paying them well doesn't mean they're going to be top talent. But you won't hang on to top talent if you're not paying them enough. Okay. Oh, and by the way, if you're listening to this live, go ahead and let me know who you are, where you are. If you have questions along the way, let me know. I'll check at the end. And if you're watching this on replay and you have questions, just post that below. I will see it and I'll come back and comment. Okay, best practices for bonuses. I know this sounds stupid, but make them meaningful. It's really critical that it's enough of a reward. You know, well, Sally, here's a half a stick of chewing gum. That's going to disincentivize. That's not what we want to do. So make them meaningful, tie them to measurable outcomes so you know and they know exactly what needs to be accomplished so we can then bonus them for accomplishing this. Okay? We want to distribute them fairly. I hear this all the time when I work with teams. They oftentimes feel that the doctor is favoring one staff member over the others. And again, that becomes disincentivizing. And then we want to balance individual and team rewards. The challenge with only bonusing them on what they do is it doesn't build team. The challenge on only bonusing everyone by what the team does is it doesn't reward what the individual does, especially if there's someone on the team not pulling their weight. So now I'm not getting bonus because she's not doing her job. And now it becomes the lowest common denominator. Well, if she's not working hard, I'm not going to work hard. And that absolutely is not what we want to do. So when you think these through, bonuses can create a win-win situation. And if you don't think them through, again, it can cause exactly what you don't want. So what does growing your practice or selling new products, bringing in new patients, what does it mean to your staff? Well, one of the things it most likely means to them is more work. So let me get this straight. You want me to work harder, get more stressed, so you can buy a boat, and I'm still stuck at this pay. Right? You can see what goes through their mind. It was really eye-opening for me when my wife came and worked at my office as a staff member CA, to hear what other staff members that I thought were totally happy were thinking, what they were saying to her. She wasn't my wife at the time. Okay. So the other thing I hear is, well, staff should do this extra work because it's their job. They shouldn't expect to get paid more, blah, blah, blah. Well, it just doesn't work. I'm going to work harder. I expect to be paid for that. Unless, like I have a doc here in East Bay, out here in California. So average pay for a CA is about $25 an hour. I have docs in the Midwest, it's half that. But in this particular very wealthy area, it's $25 an hour. Now, I have a doctor who's paying a CA $35 an hour. And he's like, I don't want a bonus more. She's way above what average pay for a CA is. I agree. That's how you already had it set up. She's a great CA. She's totally motivated. She does a great job. Then they don't need to be bonus. For most people, especially if we're hiring new people and we want them to grow, then we've got to bonus them. We have to reward them for the extra work that they're doing. I have this happen all the time with doctors that I'm coaching. They won't get something done. They say they're going to get their stats done and send them to me or whatever. And then I say, well, if I give you $10,000, would you send it to me? Like, your staff is like that too. Pay them more, and if they're the right person, they'll do a better job. Again, if they're the wrong person, they're not going to do a better job. So it's nothing you just throw money at. Okay, now assuming they're motivated by money, this is an important piece of the puzzle, then it should be basically we make more money, you make more money. I like that concept. In my world, that works. We make more money, you make more money. And that's assuming that they're motivated by money, and not everyone is. So, if they are, then by all means, that's going to work. If they're not motivated by money, we got to figure out something else that they are motivated by. By doing this, it can put the golden handcuffs on them so they stay with you, which is what we want if they're top talent. So we want to cultivate a great team. I ask that you treat them as paraprofessionals, not as front desk people. They're paraprofessionals. And if you treat them that way, they'll step up to that role. And paraprofessionals can do a whole lot more than secretaries. So it's something you really want to give some thought to. And again, motivate them appropriately. And boy, you'll be amazed at what can happen. You could be a mediocre doctor with great staff, and you could do really, really well. I talked about this last week. And you could be a mediocre doctor. You'd be a mediocre doctor with great staff and do well. You could be a great doctor with horrible staff and just never get off the starting line because they're digging their heels in the ground, keeping you from growing every step of the way. Obviously, what we want is great doctors and great staff. And one thing that we like to do with our great staff is bonus them. Okay, so I mentioned that we would like them to be motivated by money. I love when they're motivated by money. It makes life easier for me. But what happens if they're not motivated by money? Well, then we need to find out what does motivate them, what moves them, what inspires them. And the better you understand what inspires them, the better you can tailor make a program for them. So again, lots of people are motivated by money. I was working with a doc on the Big Island, and he had a CA who was independently wealthy. She only worked because she was really helped by this doctor. She was an older lady, didn't have a whole lot to do, wanted to be there, wanted the experience, but was independently wealthy, multi-millionaire. So giving her an extra couple of dollars here and there per hour didn't really do much for her. So I asked her a whole lot of questions, what do you do with your time, blah, blah, blah. Well, she was really into the church. And so I said, well, what if we were to make donations in your name to the church? And she said, donations are great. I don't want them in my name. Far out. And then she was really excited to help it grow. And she was so happy that the money went there. And, no one knew who the money was coming from, blah, blah, blah. So lots of ways to figure that out. For bonus systems to work, again, you've got to be very clear on what the goal is. It's got to be, smart, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and a very specific time. If you've not been through my goals program, put goal below. I'll send you my very detailed goals program with everything you need, but you got to know how to set and achieve goals. Otherwise, you're going to set goals. You're not going to achieve them. They won't get their bonus, and they're going to say, listen, forget the bonuses, just give me a $2 an hour raise. Staph infection, don't want that to happen. Okay, the next thing is they got to believe that they can attain the goal. Like obviously you have to be able to believe it too. But you've got to check in with them and see whether or not they believe that this is something attainable. So, in our world, we'll be going through this in the next class. We go through the performance appraisal form where these are the behaviors and then these are the tasks that each position does. And they grade themselves, A, B, C, D, F of how they think they're doing. And you grade them. And then we clarify where do we need to focus. So, I talk about this a lot in that goals program. So we really got to get clear about where we need to focus. If you're driving from California to New York at night, you only need 200 feet. It's 3,500 miles. You only need 200 feet of headlights, but it has to be the next 200 feet. It can't be a mile away 200 feet. It's got to be this. So you just got to be clear about here's where we're at. This is where we want to get to. These are the next steps we need to take. In that program, I talk a lot about, are you in a growth phase or are you in a reorganizational phase? If anybody on your team is stressed, then you can't sustain growth. If you're bored or in the zone, you can grow. But if they're stressed, they're not going to be able to grow the practice. And they'll dig their heels in the ground. You won't see what they're doing, but they'll keep you from ever hitting your goals. So in essence, if you're in a reorganizational phase, then all we do is check if anybody's stressed. And if anyone is, you got to fix it. Then just make space and fill it. That's it. Make space and fill it. Reorganize, make space and fill it. That's all there really is to that. Again, in the goals program, I go into detail about that. And if you want to just put goals below. In the goals, it's got to be a very specific goal that when they hit that, they know that they're going to get the money. You don't want to set it too far that they never hit their goal. That's disincentivizing. It's holding a carrot out in front of them. And finally, they just say, screw it, I'm not interested. If we're doing a team goal where it's something like, above base 20 cents per thousand per hour above base kind of thing, it's got to be on the next dollar we make. So, we're at 25,000 a month right now. At 26,000, you're going to get 20 cents per thousand per hour bonus. But it can't be, we're at 25,000 right now. At 50,000, you'll start getting bonus. It's too far away. It's disincentivizing. This is a big issue right here. The doctor has to be joyous to pay the bonus. So often what happens is they do the bonus and then we whine when we give them the bonus. Well, here's $100. And it's just a little cyanide in the soup. It ruins it for them. So no fair doing that. How do we figure out those bonuses? Well, I'll be going into that in the club. But there's two curves that have to meet. One is, what will they be happy receiving? And two is, what would you be happy paying? So would they be happy receiving a half a stick of gum? Probably not. Would you be okay paying that? Sure. Would they be happy if you gave them $1 million? Yes. Would you be happy paying that? No. So where these two curves meet is where you're going to find something meaningful that works. And the last piece of this is that the bonuses must be in lieu of regular raises. I do not want to give regular raises because they've been here for a certain amount of time. I want it to be because they're getting better at their job. So we're growing the practice, serving more people, saving more lives, making more money. So it's in lieu of regular what do we call that? Raises. In lieu of regular raises. I think I said bonuses. So it's in lieu of regular raises. If we do that, they will, I promise you do it the right way, they'll make way more money than if they were just getting regular raises. But if you're not growing the practice, they're not. So you got to learn how to set and achieve your goals. So there's all kinds of different ones. We'll be going into each one of these in the club: profit sharing, individual, short-term, long-term, all that kind of stuff. Again, I'll be going through that in detail in the club. If you would like access to that, we'll be there Thursday, this Thursday at 11 o'clock California time, or Pacific time. If you can't make it at that time, I obviously post it there. And I'll be posting some downloadable information on that. And in that call, as we go through, we can talk and help you customize something that works for you. So I'm going to go ahead and check if anybody was there right now. Nobody there, no questions. Okay, so I hope you found value. If you did, please let others know. If you have any questions, let me know. As always, much love and aloha. Bye, gang.